My guest today is Saurel Quettan. Saurel is an executive coach and leadership advisor who spent decades in high-stake environments, from engineering and large-scale infrastructure work to building and scaling a utility services company focused on public safety. Saurel was born and raised in Haiti, moving to the US at 17, learning English by watching the news with subtitles, and then finding his path through engineering, project work, and eventually entrepreneurship. Saurel is an executive coach and leadership advisor who spent decades in high-stake environments, from engineering and large-scale infrastructure work to building and scaling a utility services company focused on public safety. The stuff we tolerate because it feels easier than having the conversation we know we need to have. We talk about how, if you want to do something right, do it yourself, quietly becomes a leadership tax. The hidden cost it creates in time, emotion, relationship trust, and even the bottom line. We even talk about cardboard boxes at my house, like the Amazon boxes that pile up in our mudroom, and how what seems like a tiny household annoyance is actually a leadership lesson in disguise. Let's get into it. Cool, let's get into it. Thanks for being here, man. I appreciate it.
Carlos, it's great to be here. The invitation took me by surprise.
Yep.
The expanse of the invitation, the generosity behind it, and beyond the generosity, just your commitment to give and serve the world. So I wanted to be here to participate in that kind of giving.
Well, I appreciate that. We really try to embody we call servant-led, leadership, and I think that giving's important. I'm one of the reasons I'm really excited about this episode is that everybody that I've talked to previously I'd had some kind of relationship with, and I already knew their story. So this is kind of everybody's going to be learning with me, about you and
this is good.
And your
I might
background.
learn something about me too.
So why don't we start with just what's your story? Where are you from? I think Haitian background. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, for this episode, I get to say my name properly.
Okay, let's do it.
My name is Saurel Quettan.
Okay.
And for Americans, since I am from Haiti, I made it easy. I say Saurel.
Saurel, yeah.
Quettan. And some get it right, some don't.
Yeah.
And nowadays it doesn't really matter. I love people. I left Haiti. Nowadays I get to say I left Haiti before many of the humans on the face of the planet were born. I left Haiti in 1977. I was born there. I went to primary school there. If you detect any bit of attention to detail within me in my speaking, it's because I went to Catholic school.
Oh, wow. Okay. Very cool.
And quite regimented and in the way I wrote, like my handwriting, my penmanship, the way I carry myself. So all of that rests on this foundation that Catholic priests and nuns instilled in a little boy who was raised in Haiti from the age of 0 to 17. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, my boys may not like to hear that. We actually started to apply to put them in Catholic school.
Tell them they'll love it. Tell them they'll love it. I have a fond memory. The school I went to was right next to the cathedral in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. And back then I was small enough to fit through the bars that guarded the cathedral from unauthorized entry. And I would go through a back door where they were actually making the Eucharist.
Interesting.
And it was fun to they make it with a wafer machine. And by the time they punch out the Eucharist, there's a whole bunch of dough left. And kids like me used to grab tons and tons of it, shove it in a bag, and go out, buy some sweets, and have dough and sweets.
How do the dough and the sweets come together? What?
We grab the dough from the church, and then we go to the vending machine or to the vendor right outside, buy some sweets to go with it.
Okay, it's interesting. It's interesting.
Child play, and so I have many, many fond memories of my days in school, my days in the Catholic Church, and my days with my parents and my family members. Blessed to have had people around me who cared about me and nurtured me and set high standards for me. And I guess I was also blessed to want to please them. I never rebelled.
Right.
So I went with it, and here I am. Yeah.
How long were you in Haiti before you came to the States? Or did you come to the States
No,
first?
I was in Haiti. I lived in Haiti for 17 years.
Okay, yeah, you were
I
17.
was 17 when I left Haiti. Yeah. Came to the States and landed in Miami.
Okay. Like so many others.
And back in Haiti, everybody's got a 4x4. I mean, if you don't drive an SUV, your car just breaks in 2 days. So I thought the whole world was like that. So my first big thing was like an expressway. I-95 going straight down Miami and cars flying at 70 miles an hour. I marveled. It was like, oh my God, this is what it looks like outside of Haiti. I thought the whole world was just like Haiti. Yeah.
Especially then. I mean, it wasn't, the world isn't as connected as it is today, right? Where you can be somewhere else and you're seeing on TikTok or social media what it looks like in a faraway place or land.
Yeah.
Did you have any concept of that before you came to the States?
Zero, really. Zero. I thought the whole world. The whole world. If you drove a car, you drove a Jeep.
That's funny.
And if you didn't drive a Jeep, you couldn't get anywhere.
And how long were you? Well, let me back up. What prompted you guys to leave Haiti and come to the States?
My father, I call Dad a visionary. Haiti's government had always been repressive, had always been in some way dysfunctional. And I think what drives parents like me, like you, and like my parents, is that the life that they lived, that their sons and daughters may live a better life. So primarily, Mom and Dad wanted us to be better off than they had been.
Right.
And so when the opportunity came up, some programs similar to what people would call the Biden program or whatever, Mom and Dad applied and became permanent residents. They first went off to test the waters, so to speak. They'd go back and forth during summers, back and forth in the spring. Mom was a seamstress.
Okay.
She would buy clothing in Puerto Rico, come back to Port-au-Prince to resell it. My dad was a mechanic. He would go to New York during the winter, work at a mechanic shop the entire year or the entire winter, save his salary and buy parts for trucks and cars and go back to his shop in Haiti and run his business that way. And they did that for about 3 years. And then somewhere in the summer of 77, they made the decision without telling us. They say, hey, we're going to summer vacation. School typically opens up back in the fall in Haiti around October. And it was the end of October. We weren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm like, are we going back? And they go, nah, I think we're staying. So we had all gone through that program. We'd all have the proper papers. And so we settled in a new home. And for a teenager, it's kind of a traumatic thing.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because now that I'm thinking of it, I left everything behind. Yeah, all my friends, all of my dreams for Haiti, for myself as a Haitian, my first girlfriend.
Wow.
Yeah.
As I'm sitting here listening to you, one of the questions I was going to ask was, did they start to mentally prepare you over the 3 years? And you answered
Oh,
that
no. It was like cold turkey.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy. I wonder what the thought process was there. If they thought that you would have said no. Because do you have siblings?
I have two brothers.
Two brothers, okay.
Two brothers. Yeah. I don't think they ever thought that we'd say no. But then again, I can't really be in their heads. But back then, the way I was raised, it was like, whatever your parents say,
Right.
it is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, no. Children back then, at least in my family, don't question their parents'
Mm-hmm.
choice or decision
Right.
or requests. It's like, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, we're running. And if it feels some sort of way, well, that's just the way it feels,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were they able to continue the same work in the States that they were doing?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Mom and dad continued the same work. Mom, not for so long, because what dad ended up doing was open his own shop. That shop is still in existence.
Wow.
It's called, he named it after my mother.
Mm.
My mother's first name is, you could say Keisha,
Okay.
Quecia, but it's Kesia.
Okay.
So he names it Kesia Auto Repair.
Mm.
And Kesia Auto Repair sits at the corner of Northwest 52nd Street and 2nd Avenue in Miami.
Wow.
So that's his pride and joy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Very
still
cool.
in existence.
Still in existence.
My parents are 92 years old. They turned 93
Wow.
this year. So though they still own the shop, they don't work there anymore. But yeah.
Does he go in often?
Oh, that's his. It's people here go golfing
Right.
or they go fishing.
Mm-hmm.
My dad drives and goes to the shop. He
Tells
sits
everybody
and,
what to do
whether
and-
he doesn't tell anybody what to do anymore. He's just there,
Yeah.
like to pass time and be with his friends. Because
and-
that really never
It's
had
life-giving, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's
for-
really life giving.
Mm-hmm.
He never had employees. That's one thing. The people who work in the shop became my father's sons, nephews, or brothers. And to this day, the ones who worked with him, in some way, indirectly, ended up inheriting the business. And they work. They
Yeah.
continue to have their lives the way he had intended for them to have it in his way of giving. And one of the things he's fond of reminding us, me and my three brothers, he goes, I'm 93, you know that. I'm on borrowed time. And I say, yeah, I'm waiting for the rest to come. And he goes, whatever you do when I'm gone, make sure that these guys are taken care of the same way that I took care of them until they no longer need it.
Yeah.
So that's really important to him.
You have a plan. You guys have a plan in place to make sure that happens.
We do have a plan in place, and it's it evolves every day as the needs of my parents change. I have a brother who is on disability, so his needs matter as well. So to the extent that what's left is structured in such a way that it takes care of my brother and my dad's employees.
Right.
That's the plan.
Yeah. It's important.
The plan's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Make sure they're taken care
Make
of.
sure they're taken care of. That's cool.
Yeah.
So, obviously, you didn't follow in his footsteps, right? And you came 17. That's around the time of graduating high school and going to school. So, how did all that come together for you?
That came together pretty quickly, but it came together this way. I was fortunate to learn to read English in Haiti, but I couldn't hear it. I could read it, I could see the words, but I couldn't hear it. So I spent a year just learning to hear and say words in English. So people would say sometimes, "Oh, you sound like this newscaster." And I said, "Probably, because I learned to speak and hear from one." So when I got to Miami, Channel 2 was the PBS channel. And however the TV was set, it was set with subtitles. So I could read.
Okay.
But each time the newscaster would say something, I say, "Oh, that's the way you say that word." Enough was like a really difficult word for me to say. I used to say it in French, enough. But nobody would understand what I said.
It's funny.
Yeah, so I spent the better part of a year learning how to hear the words and learning how to say the words the way I hear them. And so I knew how to read English, but I learned how to speak English on Channel 2.
Interesting. My wife has a similar story. She grew up in El Salvador, and her mom came to the States when she was 4, and she would send stuff back to her, and one of the things that she sent back was a Britney Spears CD. And that was her English. That was a lot of
She
it came
sounds
from
just like Britney Spears.
Some of it, you know, like the kind of Valley Girl type stuff. Yeah. So it's interesting the way people learn different things.
Yeah.
Yep. And then you went to, I saw on your LinkedIn that you went to the University of Florida.
Don't hold it against me.
This is a big UGA office. I had shared that with you.
Don't hold it against me. Don't hold it against me. At least I didn't do like my wife and go to the University of Miami.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't have bragging rights this year.
So how did you end up in Gainesville?
Well, Gainesville was in Florida. Mm-hmm. And Gainesville had a top engineering program. So when I was in high school, good thing that my Catholic education afforded me is that I tested advanced, so I had a lot of free time in 11th and 12th grade. So for half the day, I would go to a vocational program, and I was just madly in love with radios and TVs. Mm. So I learned how to repair and build radios and TVs while in high school. And so that's how the engineering technology, love for it all came about. Yeah.
So you knew right away when you went there you wanted to do an engineering degree and path?
No doubt about it. But there's another wrinkle to that. I wanted to make the most money possible coming out of college. And I don't know if I did the right thing, but back then U.S. News and World Reports would publish this ranking of colleges, and the University of Florida was a top-ranking engineering school. And it was also, engineering was also one of the top-ranking degrees, that if you graduate with this major, you're going to live well, right?
Did they tell the truth?
They told the truth, yeah. As a matter of fact, I left... before I even left high school, I started working in the field. Back then, HBO was just coming up. Okay. HBO and MTV were all the rage, right? And people didn't have cable yet, but people had TV, HBO via antennas.
Okay.
So I spent my summers coming back from the University of Florida installing HBO antennas on attics and roofs in South Florida. Yeah. And that was my entree into the utilities services.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a particular day or story? It sounds like you could have some interesting run-ins and installing those antennas on roofs. And
the day I remember the most is the day I went to install. It was in Kendall, in Florida. And I went into this neighborhood called Arvida. Arvida was building big homes back then. And the antenna was in the attic. Imagine, it's 85 degrees. Oof. And the antenna's in the attic, and I need to go adjust it. And lady opened the door and goes, "Yep, it's up there." Open the trap door, go in. It was the most grueling 15 minutes I ever spent in South Florida. Yeah.
At least no critters or anything though. It was just
all the critters were dead.
A hot yoga session. It was too hot for life.
All the critters were dead. Yeah. Yeah.
And so when you graduated from the University of Florida, and then you started working right away, like in a professional setting, or?
Well, the way it started, the telcos had a program called, they probably still have them, co-oping programs, where students would spend one semester after their sophomore year working at the company and one semester back in engineering school. So I did that for 2 years.
Okay.
And so I had a job while working and going to school, and I had a job when I left. So it was kind of
so you knew,
fail-safe kind of approach. Given the way my brain operated back then, I wasn't about to risk anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about that. What do you mean? I think I have an idea kind of where you're going with that.
Yeah.
But what do you mean about the way your brain operated?
Well,
then?
the way my brain operated back then is, given the way my parents raised us and what they had and what they struggled to create and build, I didn't want to have to rely on them.
Mm.
And I wanted to create the kind of independence that would leave me capable of helping them if I needed to. So I didn't want to skip a beat and be in a position where I'd need them or need anyone else. That kind of independence mattered to me. So
Gotcha.
that's what I mean about how my
Okay.
brain was working back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is how has that I know it's different time, different place, but that thinking changed, or would you do anything different with the knowledge you have now?
I wouldn't do anything different, but that thinking has changed.
Yeah.
It's changed primarily because I married well.
So important.
I did. I'm a lucky guy. Lucky in the sense that Susan, my wife, who went to the University of Miami, we won't hold that against her. I was not secretly, Susan, if you're listening to this, I was not secretly rooting for Indiana last week, even though it felt like it sometimes. Susan's brilliant, and my ability to continue to say yes to being in a relationship with her left me bigger, because sometimes I did say yes when I didn't want to.
Is there something that comes to mind?
Yeah, I said yes to starting a business in 1999. That was Susan's idea. She said, she came up to me and she goes, you know, all that stuff you do so well and you love doing it. Why don't you start a business and do it for other people too? I said, yeah, let's try that. And so back then in 1999, we ended up creating, naturally it was 2005. I took the leap in 1999 and went and started a consulting business. I consulted as a utilities network infrastructure expert, specializing in project management. And that's what she said. She goes, well, you do this stuff really well. Why don't you do it for a ton more people? And back then she was working for an engineering firm that was doing utilities installation work in Atlanta and the rest of the counties around Georgia. And we started a company and became a subcontractor for that company immediately. And that business grew in such a way that it attracted the eyes and ears of the gas utilities industry. And we had a branch of the company that started doing inspections for the gas utilities. And today, Susan is the CEO of that company.
Okay.
It's called QM3 Utility Services. It employs close to 82 employees, and we do public safety work involving the detection of gas leaks and the inspections of gas utilities infrastructure to protect the public against the potential dangers of gas leaks. Yeah. So shifting and risking a little bit paid off in that way.
A lot of business owners that I talk to say, ever since I was a kid, I wanted to own a business or be an entrepreneur. Yeah. Was that there for you, or was really with Susan that?
That was there for me.
Okay.
And you know, business owners out there who are afraid to do that aren't bad or wrong or defective. I think it's innate in human beings to be afraid, to walk away from what's tried and true and dependable, to go for something that maybe not even risky, just the uncertainty itself paints a different picture in my brain, and it did that for 14 years. So since day one after getting an MBA, I wanted to be in business myself. But the MBA was completed in 91, and I never went into business myself until 1999. Yeah. It took me that many years to take a leap. And hindsight, it could have been better to take a leap sooner, but I took the leap when I did. And I think what I want to say to actually serve other people out there who want to take a leap. Don't take a leap just because you want to take a leap so you can say, I'm taking a risk, I'm changing. Get ready. And then when you are ready, leap. Yeah. Yeah.
What does that look like or how have you seen it look for others, that getting ready process, and how might somebody know?
That getting ready process takes this, right? One, you've got to have something to sell. So knowing and being an expert at what it is you want to sell makes a big difference. You're in the business of marketing here. Marketing is great, but you've got to be marketing something that is valuable
That people want. Yeah.
and people want it. So being ready means having something like that. And when you have something like that, and people around you are saying, oh man, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
And you're saying to yourself, oh yeah, I like what I've delivered.
Yeah.
And it leaves you feeling proud and excited because you're not only delivering something that makes a difference for others, but doing it feeds you. I call that being ready. It's kind of like the intersection of two things that are so critical in business: to be doing something that juices you up, and at the same time, it makes a big difference for others.
Even then,
That's one aspect of
that's one
readiness.
aspect, yeah.
Yeah.
So even then, I feel like I could see people having those pieces in place and still not being or feeling ready. I mean, like, humans are wired to seek comfort, right? I think, right? And it's like, how do you push yourself, or how do you know I really am ready to take this
Yeah.
leap and get out of this comfort zone?
You mentioned that human beings are wired to seek comfort. That wiring never shifts. It doesn't matter how old you get, how experienced you get. The way it does shift effectively in the moments that matter is by one or two ways. One, have an accountability partner that sees you as who you truly are. And what I mean truly are, I mean that person, you trust that person enough that they can validate without, bluffing you or fooling you or telling you what you want to hear, that, yeah, man, the stuff you do is really good. There's a market for it out there, or at least I sense it. I may not be an expert, but I sense that people would want what you have. And the only thing stopping you is you. So go for it. And when that person says that to you, go for it. And that's how people leap. People can leap on their own, but more often than not, they have an accountability partner, someone they consider a mentor, someone they consider a coach, who actually sees reality and lets them know that it's okay to leap. It's kind of funny, even as it doesn't matter how old you get, reassurance from a trusted source makes a big difference. So a lot of people would try to go without that trusted source. So if you're out there and you're considering leaping, get a trusted source and be in conversation often about it. And when you hear the call to make that leap, make it.
Make it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this conversation that we're having right now, is this the type of coaching that you do with Exeqfitt, like with emerging entrepreneurs or existing people trying to push into something new, or what does that look like?
Yeah, Exeqfitt was born out of something that's been in me and around me for a long, long time. When I went to the University of Florida, while I majored in engineering, I always had a love for philosophy and literature. So I immersed myself in a lot of that. And when I walked away from that, I couldn't stay away. So I kept seeking it, all the while working for 14 years in telecom. And so you could say that from 1999 all the way to now, whether it's been part-time or full-time, I've always been immersed in conversations for leadership. And in 2019, I looked and I said, I have a body of principles, and knowledge that can be of service to people. I had been using that body of knowledge and principles in Haiti to make a difference with communes in Haiti, getting mayors and their constituents and the people of communes, 250 people at a time, to align on a common vision and put in place the structures to take the actions to do that. And along the way, I discovered that when people have great ideas and they're willing to do something about it, what it takes to work together comes in the way. And all of the work that Exeqfitt does leaves people who want to work together to make a real difference with the capacity to discover what's stopping them from working together. So you could say that Exeqfitt and my practice helps people discover what stops them from doing what they really want to do together.
How did you know that you had a gift for that?
I wouldn't call it a gift. I'd call it a love for it. You know, the kind of love that keeps me seeking it more. And then I would be taught a principle here. And then I'd apply it in my own life and see it at work. And then I was able to go be like a torchbearer for that principle. Okay. Say, it worked in my life in these circumstances. Maybe it could work in your life too. And then I'd teach the principle and watch it work. And over, you could say that I've become really practiced at using these principles and teaching them, but not teaching them for people to learn, teaching them so that people can practice. Because the other thing I've discovered is that, people can know a whole bunch of things. And yet, the knowledge makes very little difference because the way they apply it or the way they don't apply it makes all the difference. And what keeps me and you from applying what we already know is some view of myself, some view of the world, some view of others that I believe is the truth. And it stops me. So that sounds a little bit theoretical and, in the air. I'll give you an example. I went to Catholic school. I mentioned that, right? And one of the views I had is if you can't spell correctly, you must not be so smart. That was a view, right? But for me, I never related to it as if it's just my point of view. So an employee or someone would come seeking employment with me or seeking to be in collaboration with me, and they'd misspell one or two words that I considered like, man, that's table stakes. You ought to know how to spell this word, right? And I'd automatically conclude that that person's not competent. So there was a whole world of competent, really accomplished people that were not available to me inside of that view. And it's just my view of the world. And then I was introduced to a principle. And the principle goes like this. My point of view is not reality. And it's not the truth. And yet, it drives everything I do, everything I say. And if I can relate to my point of view as just that, another set of actions and another set of conversations become possible for me. It's that straightforward. And yet, as a human being, my point of view doesn't come by itself. It comes with a lot of emotions and attachment. So I have to deal with that too. So practicing in the realm of my view not being the truth leaves me in a place where I can see my point of view. Nowadays, I can see that when someone misspells a word, I have a reaction. And back then, I would have a single course of action available to me. cut the conversation short, leave. That person's not competent. But nowadays, I can still see it. It's still there. And yet, I can consciously deal with my view as just my view and take the actions necessary, which would be, well, explore more. Find out what that person has available and go for it. So a lot of the principles that I bring to the table are like that, where everyday leaders, everyday employees, everyday people dealing with everyday human stuff, like my point of view, can confront that in a way that leaves them liberated, but not changed. You're the same human being, but I'm now liberated because my point of view doesn't hold me hostage.
Can we dig into that a little more?
Yeah.
I've got some questions for you because I think that's a great example.
Yeah.
Because I've got a similar point of view, right? I mean, if somebody puts a resume or something in front of me with multiple things misspelled or it's not formatted correctly, I'm going to form an opinion about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe not in everyday course of work, right? So somebody sends me an email or what, I'm like, okay, I make mistakes. I do that all the time. In that resume format, this is, like if you're ever going to painstakingly go over something, right? So what do you mean by your shift in your point of view, how that changed, that you would still engage the person and maybe say, I want to see what else is here? Like, what does that mean exactly?
I'll give you.
I think it's a great example that a lot
I'll
of
give you
people can
another
identify
example,
with.
right? I have a son who's, I would say, maybe dyslexic.
Okay.
He doesn't care too much for spelling. He is brilliant.
Yeah.
Right? So, and I have a few colleagues now who don't care much about the presentation of their handwriting. I mean, back before the keyboard and the computer, I was in a world by myself. Because coming from a Catholic school, I could write just like I'm doing calligraphy, like the Japanese. I mean, it's beautiful, right? And if I see handwriting that's not like that, I would go, I make up a whole bunch of stories about the capacity and the capabilities of the human being based on the handwriting. Another view, right? So for a long time, I related to that. So when you see a resume that may be full of errors, it may say something about the individual, right? It may say that they didn't review the resume properly and they didn't take the time to be meticulous about it. Now, that's reality, right? That could be reality. But there are a whole set of other conclusions I make automatically. They're just my interpretations. I could conclude that that person is careless. I could conclude that that person will bring the same level of attention to a job that I assign to them. I could conclude that that person is incompetent or disrespectful. All of that, I would make it true and never take the time to validate that. In a world where I can see that I'm having a reaction to the misspelled words and treat it as my own reaction and deal with it, I can put to the side the automatic responses I would have and engage in a conversation that I would never have with that person. I might say to that person, did you realize that you have 16 misspelled words in your resume? Tell me more about that. And that conversation brings something different.
Interesting.
Than simply dismissing it. And in a world where you're receiving 500 resumes, you may use that as an effective screen. And you never know, you might miss a gem. So it's not like it's set in stone that you have to do it every time. But now you know it's available to you. That's part and parcel of the principles and the ways in which Exeqfitt engages executives, right?
Is that a similar principle to like, something I've been trying to incorporate into my life over the last year is taking the most gratuitous approach or interpretation of others' actions, right? So instead of, I'm smiling that I didn't want to go here like at home, right? And there's dishes in the sink or this got left here or something. Instead of being like, I can't believe my wife Melissa did this. It's like there might have been a reason for this, and like is that kind of the similar principle to what you're describing, or is it different?
I wouldn't say similar or different, but let's deal with that, right? So there are things that your spouse does that leaves you with a certain opinion of her, right? Now, do you mind sharing one?
Yeah, there are times like that when things are left somewhere or not done the way that I would do it, right? Even after we've had a conversation of like, hey, can we do it this
Pick
way?
Pick one so we can make it real.
Let's see. What is it that I ask over and over and over again?
Now, by the way, what you're experiencing now
Yeah.
is what executives experience in a conversation when they are, for the first time, guided to look at reality.
Yeah.
So human beings love to speak in generalities. So when I speak in generalities, my own speaking gives me a place to hide. So you'll always find me saying, well, let's make it real. Let's make it specific. Because the generality just gives you the permission to remove yourself from life itself. Yeah.
Fair. Okay. So I thanks for buying me some time.
You got
it. So one is the recycle bin.
Okay.
Right? It's not massive, right? So it's a certain size. Stuff has to fit in there, which means the boxes need to be, all the Amazon boxes and stuff that comes to the house need to be
broken down, not left their original size, right?
Exactly.
I got that.
So this is one of the things over the last year I said, it's like, well, I could be mad about this, but what do I want instead? And I was like, I want them to be broken down. I just do it now. But that's one of those things where I was like,
I got that. I got that. And what you've done is, what human beings do all the time. And it's called I compromise, right? And most people would say, my ability, your ability to compromise, leave us living a good life. I say something different. When we compromise, we actually skip a step. So there's a way you want the boxes, right? And you've talked to your spouse over and over about it. And at some point in time, you just says, it ain't worth it. And now you break down the boxes and do it properly yourself. But here's something that may be real. I'm going to check in with you. And so for managers, executives, project team members, you may hear this phrase, if you want something done right, do it
yourself.
Exactly, right? Now, that's in the world of compromise. If you want something done right, do it yourself. You can begin to see the conversation that's missing when I compromise. So there's the first piece. It's not being done right. And now it leaves you how?
Frustrated,
right? And then you say it over and over, and it's still not done right. And it leaves you?
More frustrated.
And at the end, you just go, God, I might as well do it myself. Now, imagine how many times in businesses that happens. The Amazon box is a metaphor for the things that are critical to a business that managers and project managers and employees want done right and aren't being done right, so they do it themselves. Now, the conversation that gets skipped is a conversation that leaves people in a place where they can strengthen the relationship and cement something that's really worth it. So in leadership, you can either be right or have love. You can't have both. So in companies, you can either be right or have a productive team. You can't have both. So what does it look like to be right in the case of the Amazon boxes? When you're frustrated that the boxes aren't being done the way they're supposed to be to go in the recycle bin, what's the conclusion that's there that may be in the background for you about your spouse and the relationship that actually leaves you frustrated? Because you think you're frustrated because the box is not broken down, but you're frustrated because of what's in the background as the opinion you've formed about that other person and about the relationship itself. Can you see what your opinion is?
Yeah. So I've done some mental work. I don't feel this way now.
I know you don't, but this is an example.
I did in the past. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to answer your question, but I want to go back just a little bit, which is that I'll do it myself, right? And that's where I was for a long time, where I was like, and then the frustration builds up, and then a month later, it's like you have the same argument, and then right, and then it's like, okay, I'll just do it myself. And a shift for me was, why am I spending my energy on this? What do I want to happen instead? And just do it. And I decided to own that part and not have frustration towards her over it.
That's the compromise, though.
Right, if that makes sense. So
that's the compromise. Because what it still leaves unresolved is, even though you're not frustrated, I'm going out on a limb.
It's okay. Yeah, let's
you
do
may
it.
be still, even a tiny bit, resentful that you have to do it yourself.
There are some days. So yes, it's how would I characterize this? We're used to have been every day or whatever, however often, actually every day, because we get Amazon boxes every day.
Every day.
Where it would have used to been every day. Now it's maybe, I don't know, one time
days.
one time out of 10 or one time out of 15. And then what happens is, in real time, it's that frustration is like 2 seconds or 3 seconds, whereas before it would have lingered for a day or 2 days or what have you. But I get what you were saying, is that compromise is, even though it's 2 seconds, it's still there.
It's still there.
And so what it drives is like, does she not care? Why does she not care? Those kinds of
right?
things. I knew where you were getting.
Right.
Yeah.
So in teams, given that human beings run teams, teams are made up of human beings. The same dynamics at home play up at work. So even though I'm doing it myself, every time I do it myself, even though I don't experience the consequences of waiting for it to be done or having to speak about it to get it done, I still experience the frustration. And I still experience and reinforce my belief of how that teammate actually is for me, right? So he may be lazy, she may not care, or even malicious, doing it on purpose to spite me, whatever it is. It's that, whether it's residual or humongous, that is what drives a wedge in teams, and that is what drives a wedge in relationships. And so for Exeqfitt and the body of work that we create, it rests on that. An organization is a network of people in relationships, and those relationships are powered by the conversations they have. And what happens when a compromise is made, because compromises are almost often unilateral. Like, I compromise. Nobody else is involved. I just compromise. Right? So a conversation that reinforces and solidifies the network of relationships, those conversations never happen. And the team remains weak. So the practice is sort of straightforward. When in doubt, have a conversation. And don't go for any conversation. Go for the one you've been avoiding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is that what most of your work centers around with leaders, with teams,
Yeah.
on how to have those conversations?
Not so much how to have those conversations, because what people don't realize is that they already know how to have those conversations. So it would be ludicrous for me to try to teach people how to have conversations. Human beings are in conversations all the time. However, they don't have the conversations that make a difference. And the key is to actually have the conversations that make a difference. So can we go back to the example of the Amazon boxes?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do that. So there you are.
I have a feeling this might be a popular segment, and I think this happens in most families.
Oh, I'm sure it does. It happens in mine.
It's the Amazon boxes and the dishwashers being loaded.
Oh my God! So there you are. Now that you've compromised, you've actually trained your brain. Team members do that. Managers do that. CEOs do it. Entire companies do it. You train your brain and you train your systems to deal with something that's not working. And over time, that which was not working is now normal. So therefore, it's working. See, what's working now is that you do the boxes yourself. And every now and then you feel a twinge, maybe once every 15 times you feel a twinge of the frustration, right? But you get how that which was not working became normal? That happens in companies all over the place. And that which is not working, which becomes normal, still costs. And the cost comes in 4 areas. There's the cost in time. There's the cost in relationships, the quality of life that people get to live together on a team, in a home. And there's a cost in emotion. The kind of self-regulation I have to go through to actually deal and keep up the compromise. And last but not least, if you're dealing with a huge company where there's something that wasn't working, that the company compromised around, it became normal. It actually has a direct link to the bottom line. So when you look at the Amazon box, and you begin to make clear for yourself the cost in those 4 areas, could you say what the cost of your compromise is in time?
In time, in reality, probably not very much.
Yeah, but it's still time.
Yeah, it's still some time.
It's still some time. Because guess what? Somebody else could have been taking the boxes apart and putting them in the recycle bin the way they're supposed to, right? So there's always a cost paid in time, and it's real. So none of this is, a figment of our imagination. Now, there's a cost in the relationship. More often than not, when I'm avoiding the conversation that I am avoiding, and I make a compromise, it impacts the relationship. But given that I'm not having the conversation that really makes a difference, whatever it is that's not working in the relationship ends up becoming normal. Just like I'm now the one cutting the boxes up and putting them in. So what would you say has become normal? That if you look, actually doesn't work, but now it's normal.
In this scenario?
Yeah, in this scenario. Yeah.
I guess you say just a shared responsibility that, to break down the box. Maybe I'm not following the question correctly.
Yeah, and sometimes that's tough to see, but what's become normal is that it's okay in the relationship for you to feel that twinge of frustration every now and then. And for it to remind you of the opinion you don't want to have of her. And yet, you live with that. Can you see that? Yeah. That's what happens in companies. Especially in companies where legal and human resources are king. You can't really do X with that employee until HR approves it and legal gives it the stamp of approval. And the employee knows that. So the compromise game in big organizations costs a lot of time, a lot of money. People have employees they don't want to work with who love to stick around. And employees stay in jobs they really don't want to stay in because of that. I'll stay here and get my fair treatment or share because you're wrong, I'm right. And the vice versa for the employer. So the cost in real money and in real productivity matters because now what goes unnoticed, by the way, is the impact on the other side. Now, I don't know what it is, but there is an impact on the other side that every now and then you're a little bit frustrated and maybe a little resentful that you have to cut up the boxes and put them in the recycle bin. And what could you speculate is the impact on the other side, meaning on your spouse?
Yeah. What could I speculate? I'd imagine on her side, she's like, whatever. There's a million things I ask you to do that you don't do.
Yeah,
Right?
the impact could be that it actually silently escalates I would call it the battle. There's a silent, steady escalation of the battle time after time that the frustration's there. So now we could talk about that ad infinitum. And yet, what makes a real difference in organizations is that I muster up whatever it takes to have a conversation I have been unwilling to have or avoiding because I don't even know what the conversation is because I've never explored. The compromise actually masks whatever that conversation could be. So if you, for a moment, stop the compromise, even in your mind, and you're going to kind of like take what's not working and have it really addressed, what's a conversation you could have that you have never had?
It's a good question because I feel like I've tried to have these conversations. I guess that's what I meant earlier when I asked, are you teaching people how to not have conversation, but maybe how to have the right conversation?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how to answer that. I think this is actually a good response because I imagine this happens in business too. People will tell you,
Yeah.
I have had the conversation, right?
I know. Yeah.
It didn't go the way that I wanted it to.
Yeah.
By the way, there has been an improvement in the box breakdown over the last few months.
Tell me.
Well,
What
no,
is it?
yeah. I mean, I have noticed, and actually, this is interesting. I have noticed, not every time, but more often that she will break them down. But I haven't acknowledged that with her or told her, hey, I noticed that you've been doing that, and I appreciate that.
I got it. I got that. I want to not to dismiss the compromise as not important. I want to acknowledge you for the man you are in your relationship with your spouse. To go to the length of saying, you know what, that's not that important. I'll do it myself. That's to be commended. I love it. And behind it, though, let's say you didn't do it, there's a conversation that the very frustration itself could spark that you haven't had. And it could go something like this. One of the words that in the field of human psychology and all that people love to use is the word vulnerable. And many people think it's something that's hard to do. When really being vulnerable in the way that we look at it in terms of a company and in terms of individual relationship, because team members are in relationship, whether they want to or not, is to actually say what's there in the moment that it's there. And to know that you have an environment and that you create an environment that encourages that. Say what's there when it's actually there. And be open and willing to not hold it against each other. So pretend right now it's day one of box fitting in the bin. Mm-hmm. And you're frustrated because your spouse is not cutting them properly. If you were going to say what's there when it's actually there, what would you say?
Day one.
Day one.
I'd probably say something like, hey, I noticed, these boxes weren't broken down. Like, I took care of it today, but it would really help me a lot if you could break these down in the future so it's, easier for me to put them away.
It could be as easy as that, right? And the cool thing about conversations is that they're conversations, much like this one. Mm-hmm. We began, we didn't know where it was going. Often, though, the human brain wants to have a conversation with a specific end in mind. Like I already have an agenda.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The conversations I'm pointing to only have one agenda: to strengthen the relationship and to strengthen the network of conversations that hold those relationships together. So creating an environment where you could have a conversation like that, begin it anyway, and for the parties to be willing to stay in that conversation, and for the end to be, we are now stronger because we had that conversation, is the point. So it's not what conversation to have, it's to actually say what's there, mm-hmm. when it's there, in that moment. So
is that more like, I noticed the boxes weren't broken down and shut up.
No,
and stop.
Just say like what you said. Okay. Just like what you said.
Because like
what you said is a perfect segue into
okay.
a conversation that's going somewhere and you don't know where it's going.
Okay.
And your intention is to strengthen the team. Mm-hmm. And you know that the team won't be strong unless you say what there is for you mm-hmm. right now in the moment that it's there for you.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, maybe part of the fallacy in my thinking of saying that would be I open up the conversation, but I really do have the end in mind, which is the boxes are going to be broken down. And
exactly.
Yeah. And so it's getting rid of that.
Yeah, it's not getting rid of it because it's going to be there. You do want the boxes done right, don't you?
Yeah.
But you're not having this conversation because you want the boxes done right. You're having this conversation because as a leader, you are keenly aware that having the conversation is what makes the relationship rich. And when the relationship is rich, guess what happens?
What's that?
Boxes get done right.
Yeah. Is there...
Without obligation attached to it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Is there a specific example in a business setting that comes to mind for you like this, where it had real relation costs, real bottom line costs, one that you can share?
Yeah. One of the things that in the world of if you want something done, do it
yourself.
That does not escape CEOs and leaders of small to medium-sized businesses, even large businesses. Sometimes large businesses, people are protected because there's so many people around and so much money, right? But in a business where it really matters that each individual actually carries their weight, it's essential to be mindful of that. So here's the key example, right? As the CEO of a company, you're not immune to, if you want something done, do it yourself. A CEO that's not necessarily doing it himself or herself, that view will show itself in the following way. my project manager makes a choice and a decision, and I go around them to the client and second guess or alter the decision, I don't have a conversation with the project manager. I have a conversation with the client. Now, project manager is having the team meeting and project meeting, unaware of that choice, unaware of the decision, ask for a status, and somebody says, oh, well, the boss said to do it that way. And that's the direction we're going now. So now put yourself in the shoes of that project manager. How do you feel?
Like there's no confidence in what I'm doing, right?
Yeah. So second guessing someone you're paying to do a job that's essential in your organization will always backfire. In terms of relationship, you can begin to guess the nature or the mood of the relationship between that project manager and the CEO of the business. You don't trust me. You don't believe in me. I think I'm next if there's going to be a reduction in force. Right? So the relationship's impacted. Now, that project manager has more decisions to make. How quickly do you think they're going to decide?
Not very.
Not quickly at all, or if they ever decide. So projects actually get delayed. The customer's satisfaction is impacted because just by the very fact that I've done it once or many times, go around my managers and make a decision for them without communicating it to them or even communicating it to them, that they stop relying on their choices and their decisions, expecting that you're going to second guess. So the project itself gets delayed. And then the company leader screams that the project is delayed, oblivious to the fact that there was a compromise made. There was a frustration somewhere where maybe the project manager didn't quite choose or decide in a way that satisfied the leader. And the leader said, you know what? I'll do it myself. I'm going to cut that box, put it in the bin the way I want it, and I completely avoid a conversation. That's how it shows up in the world of business.
Yeah.
And mostly when it shows up in the results of the business, no one ever makes the connection between that avoided conversation and the financial impact. They actually point to the incompetence of the employees or the delay from a vendor. There's always something else to blame. And that conversation never surfaces. And what doesn't work becomes normal. So you could say to lead and to play the game of being a high-performing team, people literally and deliberately create an agreement, and the agreement goes like this. We agree to spot and see the conversations we're not having, and we're going to have them, however uncomfortable they may be. Yeah.
What would you say in your experience? I mean, you hear some people saying or thinking in their head, sometimes it truly is the incompetence of that employee. So how would you coach somebody to get to a place where you can say that with confidence and not just you're just saying it because it's an easy thing to say because you've been avoiding having this conversation?
Yeah, you know, that one's, it's not tough and it's tough at the same time. It's tough in this way. How quickly, when I hire someone to do a job, can I determine that they are either competent for the job, meaning they have all the skills necessary and the understanding necessary to execute with those skills, or they don't? How quickly do you think it is for any manager, any leader to determine that?
I mean, I can only speak from personal experience, and
Yeah.
since sometimes I know very, very quickly, and other times it's taken much, much longer.
In a job that requires, that delivers a product, let's just take a hamburger for
Okay.
instance. I mean, you can determine the quality of a hamburger like that, right? It's like, oh my God, this thing was half cooked.
Right?
The mayonnaise is not on, right?
Yep.
You can determine very quickly. In other types of jobs, people actually think they can't, but it's the same way. The very first instance of something not done right gives us an opportunity to check on the competence of someone. But mostly what makes incompetence a problem in organizations is that I spot it, but I don't have a conversation. You know, like the resume we mentioned earlier, where you see 16 mistakes. Instead of saying, oh, there's 16 errors on your resume, can you tell me a little about that? The same thing happens day one. Somebody doesn't do something the way they know to do it, the way it's designed to be done, and no one who's accountable for that person says anything. And so incompetence, while in most organizations incompetence is viewed as a one-sided thing, I invite all of us to look and see that incompetence is a team game too. To the degree that I tolerate and compromise on the first missed delivery, it is to that same degree that I contribute to the perpetuation of the incompetence in the environment. So it's a two-way street. People aren't just incompetent. People are incompetent and it's tolerated. People aren't just incompetent. I know I need to train them so they could be competent, and I don't train them. So it's a tough pill to swallow. But the leader of the organization is responsible for any incompetence in the organization. Yeah.
You know, as we're having this conversation, it's very clear to me the value and what it is that you do and bring. But something that I'm wondering is, I mean, it's taken us a little bit of time here to get into this conversation. How are you, I guess for lack of a better word, prospecting, right? Or finding businesses and getting to this point you have a level of comfortability for a CEO or a leader to open up and tell you, I'm having these issues. How can you help me?
It happens in two ways, right? One of my, I would say my Achilles heel in terms of marketing and selling. A very good friend of mine, who's also a business partner, will tell me all the time, Saurel, you're such a good trainer. You're such a good teacher. But you know, there's a big difference between teaching language and marketing language. And the two don't mix. If you use teaching language to market, nobody will come to you. But if you use marketing language, they'll come to you and then they'll discover your teaching. So I primarily rely on relationships to discover who's there and might benefit from my services, and that's worked. I'll give you an example. 25 years ago, I created and led a 2-day workshop for an organization. And 25 years later, that same individual called me and said, hey, you know that stuff you did for us 25 years ago? I've been following every single principle to the T. And while I've never called you to say this, I now run, as the COO, this $65 million company. And I owe it all to your teaching. Could you come and do the very same thing for this company now? So things like that happen. And so I count my blessings to be in a position where that happens often enough, and I continue to love what I do and deliver to people, to create the space where they can have hard conversations with me, train themselves to have quote unquote hard conversations with others, and in the process discover how much more effective their teams can be. Yeah. So mostly people find me like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Relationships that beget others.
I think that if you did the exercise you just did with me with some business leaders and some real examples, like in real time,
Yeah.
that would be pretty popular
You mean
online. Like to
like
film.
do that?
Yeah.
Like what we just did? So maybe you facilitate
Yeah,
a whole bunch of it.
Yeah, maybe so. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
What's something that you, if you say that there are leaders that have listened to this conversation, like I struggle with that and I want to compromise. What's something they could do or implement today that would help them without needing to go out and get a coach? And
Yeah, absolutely. And you know the thing is, as I mentioned earlier, it's tough for me to look in the mirror and actually say, "Huh, I have broccoli in my teeth." I could have someone else who says, "You know what? As your friend, I'm the one who gets to say to you, you have broccoli in your teeth." And so, one of the things that leaders can practice day one is, I call it practice being human. And here's what I mean by that. As a human being, when I have an emotion inside that doesn't feel good, I work really hard to make it go away. And the work that I put, the energy that I expand to make that negative emotion go away, is energy I'm not spending on having the conversation that actually is missing, that would have that emotion be mined as access to real leadership. So I'm inviting leaders to do this. Here's the practice. Notice an emotion, whatever it is. It could be positive, it could be negative. They're all emotions. And once you notice the emotion, now ask yourself this question. What's the conversation this emotion is telling me to go have, and with whom? Go have the conversation. You won't know what that conversation is, and you'll feel as if you have to get it right before you go have the conversation. I'm also saying don't wait. Every time you have an emotion, it's a signal to have a conversation. And the sooner you have that conversation, the stronger your relationships get. And the stronger your relationships are, the stronger your teams are. Mind your emotions. They're worth every penny. Mostly, we try to get rid of them. I say embrace them, celebrate them, and let them teach you about the conversations to go have.
do you find that tends to happen throughout the day, or when somebody's taking a moment to intentionally sit down and take a step back and think about, okay, this is the emotions that I'm having right now?
It happens in the moments that matter. Let's say somebody just sent you an email. That triggers something, right? Good or bad. That's an emotion to notice, or set of emotions to notice. Notice and say, what conversation is this inviting me to have? And have that conversation. Mostly, when I have a reaction to an email, or a reaction to a voicemail, or a reaction to a real conversation I'm having, I go the other way, the way of saying, what can I do now to get rid of that emotion or to hide it? I say lean into it. Let it teach you. Let it be the fuel that grows the relationship. So it's in the moments that matter. in the relationships that matter to you. Let your emotions guide you. Whatever it is, it might be anger, it might be joy. People want to differentiate between emotions. Like if I'm joyful, I'm now going to work hard to be more joyful. If I'm angry, I'm going to work hard to not be so angry. Same thing. You're wasting that emotion. Ask it, what conversation is it requesting of me right now? And go have that conversation.
Yeah.
While not knowing what the conversation is.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
If there's a business leader, owner that's listening to this and they're curious, like what it would look like to work with you and engage with you, what does that process typically look like?
The process starts with a phone call. People can call me or even call you and say, this funny guy that was, or this not so funny guy that was with you on this episode, I'd like to talk to him. It would begin with a conversation, and that conversation is a two-way conversation. A two-way conversation that helps you determine whether or not you want to be in conversation with me and you want to connect with the principals to help put a foundation in place for your company such that it grows and expands on solid foundation. Because I'm not for everybody, and everybody's not for me. So that first conversation is critical. The conversation that says, are we for each other that way?
Yep.
Can we work together and be aligned on a specific direction for any engagement? And once that's settled, there's then the kind of work we do to articulate specifically what's not working. And that happens to be one of, I wouldn't say most difficult, but the anchor for an engagement that eludes a lot of organizations. Because what's not working, often as an executive, I'm unable to articulate. So the first conversation is usually for that. Let's articulate what's not working, because the moment you say what's not working with such clarity, what there is to do just shows up, right? The analogy I love to use is the analogy of a flat tire. If you woke up, on next Tuesday morning and you walked out to the garage and there was a flat tire in your car, what would you say is not working?
That the tire itself. I mean, there's a hole or there's a leak or something.
I have a flat tire.
Yeah.
It would just be that. I have a flat tire. But mostly in organizations, people can't say that. I have a flat tire. Like, make it that direct, that clear. And so the ambiguity about what's not working is normal in most organizations. So therefore, people spend a lot of money and a lot of time working on the wrong thing. So it's essential at the beginning to spend as much time as possible to say what's not working with such clarity that it makes the rest of the engagement purposeful. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have a system, or I guess, there's obviously some kind of methodology, right, around what it is that you do, but is it something that you implement each time, or is it specific to to each engagement?
What I implement each time is based on a framework that is common, but how the framework guides the engagement is based on the client. Because what's not working is going to be on a client-by-client basis. You could say, let's take a project, for instance. A project could not be working for a number of reasons. One, the cost always overshoots the budget. And people could say, well, the budget's not working. Or it could be that what's delivered to the client is never quite what the client expected or required. There's always something missing. Right? People could say, well, quality's not working, right? Or it could be that as we do the project, we intended to do X, but there were a bunch of additions along the way that we ended up compromising on that inflated the cost of the project, and we weren't as profitable as we could be. You could say all that, right? But what's not working is usually what's behind that makes the conditions stick around. So often organizations will tend to throw dollars and time at teaching people how to budget better, teaching people how to listen to the client more effectively, teaching people how to schedule the project in such a way that it doesn't run over time. But learning all these tools rarely make a difference until people actually discover why they're not doing what they already know to do. And why. And so in that sense, the framework's always the same. They are, one of my mentors always says, don't tell people what to do to transform the environment. Give them a tool to use. And when they use the tool consistently, the environment and they will transform on their own. So the tool's always the same. Projects begin, projects are planned, projects are executed with teams, a network of people cemented by a network of conversations, and projects are closed. So my work revolves around these projects that make organizations run. And the tools I bring to the party are the tools of a project program manager. How do you initiate a project? How do you plan it effectively? How do you execute it and monitor it and track its performance? And how do you close it in such a way that the project is really done and over? So the tools are the same, but how the organization applies them and which one to apply when is what gets shaped and tailored for a specific client. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's, we're getting close to wrapping up, but there's one question we wanted to ask you, which is that you seem like the type of person to me that might have some sort of grounding, like a daily grounding practice or something that you do each day to kind of get your mind right or get you going in the right direction. Do you have anything like that in your routine or?
Yeah. I have a global routine.
Okay.
It begins by going to sleep. Sleep. If you find yourself wearing a badge of honor on your shoulder saying, man, I only got 4 hours of sleep last night and I'm a hero, quit that. So the first part of the ritual is get really good sleep. Do whatever you can to get good sleep. I'll say, 7 hours minimum. Get good sleep. That's first. The second is spend time practicing, whether it's in the morning or any time in the day. Spend time practicing observing yourself internally. What am I feeling now? What's this emotion? And what's the conversation it's begging me, inviting me to go have? Whether you go have the conversation or not, that ritual helps me a lot to actually ground myself in being human and to have the compassion that other people are also human. They're dealing with the same emotions, the same triggers, and when they say X in a way that doesn't sound right to me, it's not about me. It's just what they're dealing with right now. So to actually observe my own emotions and my own reactions to things leave me with the capacity to be with others in a way that I couldn't be with them otherwise. A routine I love that I've kept up, thank God I can still keep it up, is moving. I used to move a lot faster back in the 70s. I move a lot slower now, but I'm still moving. Exercise is negotiable. And it's not the type of exercise that assumes I'm an Olympian. It's the type of exercise that is designed to take care of your body. And it goes hand in hand with actually eating well. I have a favorite coach of mine who says the human body can survive on nothing but water for 40 days. And at the end of 40 days, it starts to eat itself. So the way people eat is a matter of habit rather than bodily requirement. So I've discovered that I can eat one large meal a day, a smaller meal later, and not be hungry at all. And it took me about 15 days one time to get over that hump, because my body would say, I'm hungry, when really it was just the habit of feeling something and saying, I'm hungry. So eat just as much as you need. That's another one. It keeps my brain really sharp. It keeps me energized. And so that's my well-being routine helps me a lot. And along the way, it leaves me with the time to learn. Always be learning. It leaves me with the time to be in conversations. Always be in relationship. And it leaves me with the time to pause. And it's never be in a hurry. There are times when you'll be doing things fast. It's different than being in a hurry. I can do things fast without being in a hurry. Yeah. Those are my routines.
That's good. Oh, well, I think I'll have to have you back because you just said something else that sparked a whole bunch more questions for me, which is that you mentioned you have a coach.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes people think they don't need coaches.
Yeah.
But even hearing you're a coach that has a coach, and even coaches have coaches,
Yeah.
and I just think that's super interesting. But in the meantime, where can people find you? LinkedIn. I know you're on LinkedIn.
People can find me on LinkedIn.
Okay.
I'm at Saurel Quettan. That's SAURELQUETTAN. And that brings me to something I must say. When I go to the line at Chick-fil-A or anywhere, and they go, "What's your name?"
Yeah.
I say Susan.
There you go. Keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple. That's funny.
So yeah, at Saurel Quettan on LinkedIn, and at Exeqfitt.com, and that's EXE, the letter Q, FIT.com. People can find me there too.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming in. I appreciate it.
Awesome.